Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Yeah.
Welcome back to Two Dudes Watch Cartoons, the podcast where two dudes, that's us, watch cartoons. My name is Evan.
And my name is Alex. And today we are bringing you a milestone. We've reached episode 50, which may not seem like a lot, but we are a bi-weekly podcast. Bi-weekly? Bi-month? What is, yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, so we are super excited. We've definitely done more than 50 episodes, but this is episode number 50 in the chronological order of cartoons. You know, it's a big celebration. We are going to be covering Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. Kind of symbolic to our two dudes journey here. We'll get into that. We got a lot to cover though. Evan, I'm just excited. The energy's good. I'm happy to be here. How are you doing? What's up with you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited that we're covering this movie. It's been out for a little bit, so we've been putting this one off, and then with episode 50 coming up, I was like, this would be the perfect celebration. An entry in the Shrek franchise, which we love. 50 episodes, so roughly 100 weeks, roughly 2 years.
Yeah.
Did you think we'd ever get to this point?
Hell no, dude. Let me tell people why though. Let me tell people why I had little confidence in us at first. The podcast, as you know it, Two Dudes Watch Cartoons, the chronological, everything you were able to listen to, started in 2020. July of 2020, we brought you Avatar coverage, and we've been going ever since. A little inconsistent at times, but we've kept very steady pace throughout that, doing every 2 weeks. We even tried a stint where we were releasing weekly episodes for those diehard fans. And so, the reason I didn't think we'd get to this point, though, is back in 2017, there's like 2, maybe 3 never going to see the daylights episodes that we recorded. And I'll just tell everyone, we were bad. We were really bad.
They were very bad.
We didn't know what this podcast was going to be. I think this is the perfect time to get into it. This is the funniest one. We watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse together, like through a stream. And it was meant to be, the podcast was meant to be like, you hit play at the same time as us, and it was supposed to be like commentary, and it was so bad. We had like long pauses where we're just like engrossed in the movie, and then we'd be like, yeah, that was sweet. Like it was so bad. It was, but so
Yeah.
That was one of them. We did like ranking Rick and Morty episodes, if I'm remembering, and I'll be honest, Evan, I think the reason that one didn't is I feel like we didn't finish that one for whatever reason. Maybe I'm wrong, but like we had some failed attempts. What else am I missing? Those are the 2 that stick out in my brain. I think we had another though.
We had talked about Steven Universe. We did an episode. We also did an episode, and this is something I want to revisit, Akira.
Oh, that's
the
right.
Seminal anime classic.
Yeah.
And you know what? They were all pretty bad. There was a segment, I think on the Akira, maybe the Akira episode or one of the other ones, where we were trying to do like segments too. We were spitballing
figuring
segments.
it out.
And there was like a Saturday morning cartoon segment where we reviewed a pilot episode of what's the show about beavers on Nickelodeon?
Oh my God, Angry Beavers?
Angry Beavers. So it was kind of a mess of a show, but we started thinking, this all came flooding back to us because for episode 50, you might have noticed a new theme song.
Yeah.
We're sunsetting the old theme song. It's always going to be a core part of who we are, but we're going to just, test this one out for a little bit, see how we feel about it. So let us know what you think of the new theme song. But I was looking for the old recording file, like a GarageBand file of when I had made the original theme song. And that was in 2017. And that was probably before we recorded any episodes. Really, the impetus for us going through with this concept was we landed on like a name that rhymes that we kind of liked. And then I had this like catchy little theme song. that was like a little earworm. And so it's
Yeah.
like, this is the reason why we have to make Two Dudes Watch Cartoons. And that carried through. So we did those couple of episodes, took a break between 2018 and 2020 in the pandemic. And then in the midst of the pandemic, we fired it back up with that 2-minute episode in the Road podcast competition or whatever.
Yeah.
And have been going ever since. So for everyone who has listened since day one, for everyone who has joined our little family along the way, for all the guests who've come on, thank you for being a part of our Two Dudes Watch Cartoons journey. Here's to 50 more.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Now we're unstoppable. Okay, so that's the other caveat to your question. Is like, did you ever think we'd get here? No. Did I? Where are we going to be in 10, 20, 50 years? We're still going to be two dudes watching cartoons, baby. We ain't going anywhere. You can't stop us. So, that is, and I think what is really to go off of what you said about 2017 is we both fell in love with podcasts pretty quickly once we started diving into them. And we were like, we should make typical two guys. We're like, we should make a podcast, bro. But we were like, it has to be something we are passionate about and like something people would actually be semi-interested in listening, because we have a lot of nerdy concepts. And this is a pretty nerdy one. So we appreciate, like Evan said, everyone coming along for the journey. Behind your guys' backs, we call you guys duties. Not like our fan base. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. We've said that like a few times, but it's been a long time since we've said that at all.
2023, we're bringing it back.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, while we started the podcast, we started with mostly Avatar stuff. We took a break to cover our favorite spooky time, Over the Garden Wall. But then after we finally got out of Avatar, we did Shrek. And I think we really hit a stride. Oops. I think we hit a stride when we started these Shrek podcasts. Just for the big nerds, I've gone back and listened to them, and I think our Shrek one is one of our first that's like really polished, really nice, really funny. We got good banter and stuff, not just like a recap. And so we did Shrek. We did Shrek 1, and then we did Shrek 2 with my girlfriend Nikki. And for the longest time, Evan has been bugging me to finish out the series, and he wants to cover Shrek 3 and Shrek 4. And the number of times I've said no, it's the white whale. The number of times I've said no, or like maybe like next month, like I've pushed it off. And so I feel like this is a great compromise. This Puss in Boots, The Last Wish here. It is, I think, a bit of a capstone on the series, but it's not Shrek 3 and 4.
For the record, I haven't seen, I don't believe, Shrek 3 or 4.
Well, that's why you want to
I want to finish the franchise. I know, I have read that there's a dip in quality. But
let me tell you.
It's our white whale. We got to finish it at some point. Maybe episode 100 will land on Shrek 4.
Wow.
75 will be 3. 100 is 4. Of everything we've covered so far, do you have a favorite thing you've watched, or guest we've had on? Maybe not guest. Maybe we shouldn't be
start ranking our guests. We're like, here's the best, here's the worst. So, so I think for me, I got two categories here. So one is something I've seen before. I think that I still love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I just think it's what started us all here. It's so good. Anytime I've rewatched it, it has been so just like such a joy. It's so great. And it just reminds me of starting the podcast. It's got such good memories to it. I will say, of like new things we've covered, I feel like this might be recency bias, but I feel like Pinocchio is maybe like of something I had never seen before the podcast. Sure. That is another standout, but maybe it's just because it was so recent. I thought, I'm still singing the songs and whatnot that you guys hated.
That's fair.
What about you?
You know what? The Batman, those aren't cartoons, so I'll leave those out. Those hold a special. The Batman pods hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Korra episodes we did.
Ooh, tell me why.
So for the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, we're still a little wet behind the ears. We went episode by episode, very much a recap podcast. Actually, listening back to those, they're like a little boring, but like we really go in depth, like exploring
scene by scene, bro. Scene by scene. What a daunting task. Could you imagine? Bro, we were covering a season at a time, so it's like multiple episodes, and we went scene by scene. Dude, we cover movies now, and we don't even hit on like half the shit that happens. Like, we've come so far. The last time I listened to those Avatar podcasts, I'll be honest, it was almost unbearable to listen to.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me your opinion, Alex, on what you thought of this scene.
High performance athletes. We watch the tape.
We do. We do, though. We try to improve. We talk about this.
Yeah. I think Luca is a standout. Spirited Away is a standout of just like
Porco Rosso.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Porco Rosso. Man.
Not
We've watched some really great stuff. Fantastic Mr. Fox was fucking awesome.
You know what? And we've watched some stuff we would not have revisited or ever have seen for the first time because of the podcast. What was Fern Gully?
Example. Fern Gully. That was a great one.
Yeah. Xander brought us Surf's Up, the hidden gem that was that movie.
Yeah, that was the most unexpected hit.
I think that wins like most unexpected because I went in thinking it was going to be so brutal, but I ended up loving every bit of it.
And Xander was a phenomenal guest.
Yeah.
Survivor 43 for
41. We're on 43 now.
41.
I knew this was going to happen with the certain. Now we're talking Survivor. When they went to these 41, 42, 43, I was like, people ain't going to remember them as easily anymore, but just proving my point. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of really great things that we've come to accomplish and some really good guests as well. We're not going to list and rate them like Evan wants to, but we are. I just think, we wanted to make episode 50 feel like a little bit of a celebration. We go over a little history, celebrate what we've accomplished and where we're going. And, the other thing is we started out having a decent amount of friends and family who listen to us very religiously and bi-weekly because we release every other week. And we have really grown since then. A lot of things have helped contribute to that. And Evan just said it best, like, we're appreciative because we do this for fun. Like, this is a passion project. So every single person that listens, like every person that subscribes, likes all of it, it's all a bonus cherry on top for us because we have such a good time doing it.
Super appreciative of everyone who listens, obviously, and everyone who comments and engages with us on TikTok, on Instagram, wherever.
We love
slides in our DMs, talks shit to us about our opinions. Like, we love going back and forth. Not going back and forth, but we love talking to you guys about this stuff. We obviously love talking about cartoons. That's why this podcast exists. And if you also want to join in on the fun, slide in our DMs. Let us
know what you want us to watch.
Write us at twodudeswatchcartoons@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Which is something we haven't mentioned in the sign off in probably a year and a half, but it's there if you want to write us a long form essay about why you agree or disagree with us. But yeah, today we got a good one. We got a good one.
I'm excited.
And like Surf's Up, like this podcast in a way, we're talking about something that has been to this point a little bit of a sleeper hit. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is actually a Puss in Boots 2. I forgot there was a Puss in Boots 1 spin-off movie.
Ready for this?
I
didn't forget. I didn't know.
2011.
It wasn't a matter of forgetting, just didn't know.
Yeah.
2011, yeah. So this is like news to me. I mean, you texted me after the movie saying, "Did you know that this was a sequel?" I said, "No, I had no idea." You don't need to. Evan, I want to start off our Puss in Boots coverage with a crucial question. I went to a theater full of kids. My theater was packed full of kids, rightfully so, understandably. Does the name Puss in Boots only slide in 2023 because it is an established character from the 2000s?
No, it's also is a fairy tale, which, I mean...
Is it?
It is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like there's existing folklore. which I wasn't. I'm not like
Before
intimately
Shrek 2?
Yeah, I'm not. It's like it is a fairy tale in the vein of all the other fairy tales.
I was gonna say I shouldn't be surprised because of all the fairy tales that are jam packed in that movie. But you're absolutely blowing my mind. I always thought he was like an original character. I thought he was like Donkey. How do you know
aside,
this? What? Wait, hold
the
on.
Wikipedia. What?
Did you learn this recently? How long have you known this?
Well, I had assumed it was a fairy tale, and I confirmed that today on Wikipedia.
Okay, whatever. You assumed. I don't. Okay. Fine. It's a fairy tale. It's based on a property. Okay, let's move on, I guess. This movie, so Puss in Boots first introduced.
Why do you think? Because
of the word Puss. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it being.
It's just
harder
on the line.
to get through. Yeah.
I feel like they encourage you not to call cats pussycats anymore. Is it not that like?
Was that a campaign?
It's the same. Yeah.
I don't know that was ever like something
It was. They were like, stop saying this. It was like spade and neuter your pets, like at the end of. No, so, okay, listen, there was not a campaign. There wasn't people going like, hey, stop saying this. But you know damn well people don't say pussycat anymore. So it made me wonder. I was like, I genuinely think like a kid's movie nowadays could not slide that unless it was like an established character. I don't think it's an outrageous question. Screw you. You make me feel like I'm crazy.
Wow, that's not very PC. And by PC, I mean pussy. So how was your theater going experience? Did you watch it with Nikki?
Yes.
Did you get, well, yeah. What was your concessions order?
And I, over the years, have learned this is my favorite movie going experience. Afternoon. Going in the afternoon is the best movie going experience. There's just nothing better. It's usually not as crowded. Granted, this theater specifically was packed. We were shocked. The theater itself was not, but then we get up and you have to pick seats now, which is like just a standard at every movie theater you go to. I don't know when that happened. It just changed all of a sudden. And they were like, oh, fair warning, it's like really packed. So we had to sit like in like a pretty close row, but with reclining seats, it's not actually that big of a deal. And so I felt like I was in the action. Like me and Nikki, like we were surrounded by children. There was a couple of teenagers that looked like they were on a date to the other side of me. I was on a date too, understandably. And my theater loved it, except for the one kid at the end of my row who wouldn't shut up the whole time.
Ooh, that is tough.
Yeah.
While I loved the movie, I had a bit of an odd experience. I was in the last row.
The very last row? We had the opposite experiences?
Yeah, and I picked it. It wasn't full or anything. The theater was pretty empty in itself. I just wanted...
Wait. You picked the back row? Like, if not by force?
Yeah, it was like a small theater, so like I didn't want to be too close.
Okay, it's a smaller theater. That makes sense. I'm picturing a giant theater, and you're like all the way in the back.
No, but they didn't close the door, so I could just hear the commotion of outside and like other theaters outside. And also, I think the last two, the back row speakers were not on, so I had like trouble hearing some of this movie. Like,
okay, here are my two questions. I have two questions for you on your experience. One. Did you ever close the door yourself?
No.
That's the difference between you and me. I would have closed that door so fast. Who's it hurting? It's only helping. So that's on you, my friend. Second, once you realize the speakers are not working, you said your theater was not packed. Did you move?
No.
That's on you again.
I'm more of a just accept my fate kind of person, Go with the flow.
Like, well, I can't see, can't hear. It's loud as hell.
This is my life now.
This is just what I'm stuck with. And Evan comes out and he's like, hated the movie, didn't even understand one thing of dialogue. No, but
despite all that, though, loved this movie.
Yeah.
Love this movie.
Okay, well, that's good. There's a lot to love, so that's good. I'm glad we went over that. That's pretty funny. But I'm blaming you 110%, if I'm being honest.
All right,
so...
all right.
Yeah, the kid in my theater, you know what? It wasn't even the whole time. It was just towards the end, and it made me realize, I think the whole streaming era has shortened children's attention span.
Probably. There's a family in front of us who had like a little kid, maybe a toddler, who left during the middle, and
Because they hated it? No, probably just
yeah.
kidding. They were like, I can't believe they say the word puss so many times. I clutch their pearls and leave.
But you know what? It made me feel alive. All these random factors. I'm no longer in the bubble. I'm no longer bubble boys. So much
You're sounding
life
like
is
James
happening
Cameron.
around
You're
me.
just like, I just love the whole theater experience as a whole. Everything about it, even the shitty
I
parts.
sure do. Yeah. I've had to sit up like first row for a movie once in recliners, and it's like, I think I went by myself, but like you have to be fully reclined.
Have to.
In the first
Fully.
row.
Yeah.
But then you're just like laying next to whoever's next to you, and it's super
And if it's a stranger, it's super weird.
Yeah,
And
it's
you're not
super
in the
weird.
first row unless it's packed. So you are sitting next to people no matter
for
what.
sure next to a stranger. Yeah. That
You-
was probably one of my worst theater going experiences. My best movie theater experience is I went to an early screening of Suicide. I don't know if we ever talked about this, of the Suicide
Ooh,
Squad.
I was going to say, which
probably
one?
last year. And at the end of the fucking screen, or no, before the screening starts, who walks in but motherfucking John Cena himself?
Yeah.
In his WWE garb, because they were touring and they were in town. He's throwing out t-shirts. I catch one. It's a small, but whatever. I think I still have it. But yeah, that's probably my best theater going experience thus far.
You know, so what's really funny is you started that whole story off by going, I don't know if I've told you this. And it's like, of course you fucking told me this. Are you kidding me? You told me the moment it happened. You might have texted me from the theater. So
I probably did.
yeah, that's too wild. I've never had anything like that, but I will say one of my favorite movie going experiences has to be like third grade. I saw Finding Nemo like a whole 2-3 weeks before it came out. And like people at school were fucking jealous. I'm not even exaggerating. Like I told every single person I know, like, yeah, I already saw Finding Nemo. It was really good.
Does that movie hold up, you think?
Oh yeah. We need to cover that 100%.
Okay.
You're going to love it. When's the last time you saw it?
Many years ago, but there was a phase in my little sister's life because
where it was like on
she's like,
repeat?
yeah, it was on repeat every fucking day.
I know those movies.
Watch it in English, watch it in Chinese. It was like, I don't know.
My sister, it was The Incredibles, so also Pixar, but I know that movie front and back.
Ooh, love that movie.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Maybe we have the same effect. Like I'm misremembering The Incredibles because I've seen it so many times, but you're misremembering Nemo. So we should revisit those. But yeah, let's we've danced around it. We've done everything we can. Let's dive into this movie. Sorry if you're here strictly for the movie talk.
So I think Puss in Boots 1 came out 2011.
We're not covering that.
I understand. But the plans for its sequel started in 2012 with executive producer Guillermo del Toro attached.
Whoa, what?
They went through, bet you didn't know
GDT.
that.
No.
They've gone through some, creative changes behind the scenes. Joel Crawford is his name, who ended up in the director's seat, who worked as a story artist on Shrek Forever After and a couple other DreamWorks movies. He directed one of the Croods, I believe. And now this is being widely celebrated.
Let's run through it. Do you have the Rotten Tomatoes up? What's it at?
I think it's 96+%. It's got a higher Rotten Tomatoes than Avatar 2. Yeah. Sorry, it's just a fact. It's just
Better
a fact.
sequel.
It's grossed $263 million on a budget of $90 million, so also more profitable than Avatar 2.
Avatar
as it
2,
stands.
as recording of this podcast, is like probably about to start making money.
In Letterboxd's top 250 narrative feature films,
It jumped.
has gone from 231 to number 125, and it's the second highest rated animated movie of 2022 on Letterboxd after Marcel the Shell. So this sort of just came out of nowhere for everyone. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a new Puss in Boots movie. Haha, that's fun. It's been so long. It's been a decade since we've
Yeah.
seen a Shrek entry. And now people are perking up.
People are talking. I'll be honest. I don't know we would. I don't know I would have seen it if it didn't get the buzz that it ended up getting. Like, I was very content just being like, oh, it probably falls in line with the other Shrek failed sequels, in my opinion. So I'm so glad I did, because I was so wrong that I even held that opinion at all. This was such just like a beautiful story. Like, I guess there probably are things that are better when you find out it's a sequel and followed through, but just as like a start to finish compact story, just so beautifully told, and something so simple. And you know what it made me realize is, like, that's the essence of a good fairy tale, is like, it's like a universal simple message, but it's still just like so wonderfully told and still like touching. And this hit like on all of that. It was so freaking good. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, even with all the hype.
Not gonna lie, first maybe 15 minutes, I didn't understand the hype. I think it flirted with falling into just like your typical family movie fare. There was a musical number in the beginning. It's like, it's very
The musical numbers
lighthearted.
would probably lost you. I know you. So
Yeah.
you didn't know
but-
that this was going to turn into a great action comedy?
Action comedy about PTSD and like
An
a
existential
contemplation
dread of yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's fucking great. And that those themes become more prominent as the movie goes on. There is, in the first maybe 5 minutes, right after that opening musical number, there's this gigantic action set piece where Puss in Boots fights a mountain troll.
Oh,
And this I feel like I maybe
What an
texted you
opener.
this, but this reminded me of Ranking of Kings, the final battle. It's so kinetic. It's so different than anything you see in like a Western CGI movie like this. Anything from DreamWorks, on par with like a Kung Fu Panda. They always were really great at action.
Yeah.
But like the one thing that struck me about this movie is that it like the action felt like anime, and just because of the way it is animated.
And I think that's probably a good place to start, is the animation style was like just slightly different enough from the Shrek stuff, if that makes sense. Like, it was not the same. It almost had a more comic book feel to it at points, though. In the action sequences, like you said, it was very anime-esque. It reminded me of, like a comic book. Like, I think that's like an apt comparison at times. It was so beautiful in like every scene, though. The animation was just stunning. And, I wonder if that's something we don't necessarily always recognize DreamWorks for, but they do, they are, really good animators, like looking at them visually.
One of the things you'll probably see in any of the reception of this movie is comparisons to Into the Spider-Verse. And that's what we talk about when we say it changes frame rates. It looks painterly is how people will describe it. And, credit where credit's due. I think Spider-Verse opened the floodgates for more movies to start doing that. I've been reading reviews of this movie. Apparently Bad Guys, which was a 2022 DreamWorks movie, also was a little more visually daring in this sense. Movies like Mitchell's and the Machines. I'm glad that we're getting more of this expressiveness in computer animation and like these big studio pieces, because we watched last episode, Strange World. That's what it's called.
Next episode.
Next.
We keep messing it up.
I recently watched Strange World, and you know,
We're gonna be covering it in a couple of weeks.
we're gonna be covering it coming up soon. But I don't know, like it all gets to a point where it looks very good and glossy,
Yes.
but like something is lost there. It loses a little bit of heart in that like photorealisticness.
You're so right. It felt drawn at times, even though I don't know it is, but it was just so well done. It's so captivating. You don't ever really want to take your eyes away, if that makes sense. Granted, you're in a theater, you're not going to be like checking your phone, but yeah, it's visually stunning. And so let's one of our favorite parts, let's get into the voice cast, because the voice cast was so good. Did you have so much? I didn't know any of the voices going in. Well, I know Antonio Banderas is Puss in Boots, but I didn't know the rest of the voice cast going in, and I had so much fun trying to piece them all together. Who did you recognize, and who didn't you recognize?
I didn't recognize Salma Hayek. Wow. She was great. Florence Pugh, I had seen in some promotions, but sort of forgotten that she was going to be in there. But she plays Goldilocks. Yeah. She's fantastic. Mama Bear is Olivia Coleman.
Oh, you're just now telling me this for the first time.
Yeah, was in The Crown, The Lost Daughter, Broadchurch, all these like great BBC British drama shows, and but she was one that struck me right away. And then like the one other one that John Mulaney.
He was so recognizable.
Had no
so
idea
funny.
he was in.
And
this
now
movie.
he's in his villain era, baby.
Who did you pick up on?
Got John Mulaney right away. Salma Hayek was one I kept going back and forth, but by the end of the film, I got right away. But Florence Pugh, I think. I loved her so much. It was one that I just couldn't place for whatever reason. Oh, I know why. Because I always hear her with like an American accent or like a different accent,
or a Russian accent.
Or a Russian accent, yeah. And it just always reminds me that British actors are just so much better than American actors. Like they're not even in the same league. And I love Florence Pugh. And to be fair, she's one of the standouts in this movie. Her and Olivia Coleman have some really great moments. So the voice cast was so good, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. I don't have it up in front of me.
John Mulaney plays what is this character's name?
Big Jack.
Yeah, Hark something.
Well,
it's a fairy tale.
Let's just look it up. It's a fairy tale. He's Little Jack something, but now he's.
There was one of like the henchmen in that bakery factory scene is voiced one of the most unique voices out there by this actor comedian Betsy Sidaro, and I only know that because she guests on Doughboys a lot, and that's one of my favorite podcasts. And I started getting cocky, so I was like, "Oh my god, I just named Betsy Sidaro out of fucking nowhere!" And then we get to the little cricket. And I was like, that sounds exactly like Jim Gaffigan. I turned to Haley and said, that's got to be Jim Gaffigan. Because it sounds like if you imagine the cricket character talking about a Hot Pocket, it's literally Jim. Like,
I can hear it, but I don't think it's him.
Chirping in, and it's not. I was completely wrong. That's the moral of the story. I got it 100% wrong. What are you looking at? Oh, are you looking up John Mulaney's character?
Yes. Yeah. John Mulaney's character's name is Big Jack Horner, and he sticks his thumb in pies, and he's such a little brat in this movie. He's got a huge head, he's got a huge body, but a tiny ass head.
I think it was on Polygon. Their review called him the collector of the Shrek universe.
Yeah, that is Marvel.
The other standout from this one that people might recognize, though, is the voice actor for the wolf. Voiced by Wagner Moura, who played Pablo Escobar in Narcos on Netflix.
Oh, no way. I didn't catch that. That's pretty crazy.
I didn't catch that, but I had to look that up. But
wow, he
is fantastic.
Well, and he was really good in this too. And then the other one I love is the little dog, but I don't know who he is. His name's Harvey Guillen.
Yeah, he is like the henchman in the What We Do in the Shadows TV series.
Oh, I hear really good things about that.
Yeah, I've seen the movie. I haven't gotten into the television series, but
I didn't recognize him, but phenomenal.
What do you think of his character, Perrito? He's one of the newer.
Perrito was one of the best parts of the movie.
didn't do it for me, to be honest.
You're joking. You didn't like Perrito?
I did not like him, but I didn't fall in love with him.
The moment we're at the cat sanctuary and Puss has got his beard and there's a million cats around and we see this dog chomping on all the food, I was like, that's a dog, I think. And it was. And I loved Perrito the whole time. And every time he's just like, rub my belly. Like, it was so funny. His gut would come out and you're like, no, I don't want to rub your belly. And he wanted to be a therapy dog. And like, that was all he ever wanted. And he ended up getting to do that with Puss.
Yeah, and that's a very poignant moment.
It was so good. He was like the heart of the movie. How do you not like Perrito?
I don't know. It felt
You found him annoying?
A little bit. It felt like too much of an echo of Donkey as a character, which I
need
get
a Donkey.
comedic. I also don't love Donkey as a character.
You're just outing yourself as anti-comedy.
Apparently. But no, Harvey Guillen does a great job in this. The character itself just isn't for me. I'll leave it at that.
You better leave it at that. So yeah, it's the plot of the movie. Puss in Boots, fearless feline hero. He has no fear, will take on any battle. Come to find out, this is because, like all cats, Puss in Boots has 9 lives. Every time he dies, he just comes back, and he doesn't. He doesn't care. It's whatever. It doesn't matter to him. Now, though, he dies at the hand of this giant troll, which I was so the giant troll battle, it was like released online. Like you sent it to me, it was like a promo. And I was like, why would they show the climactic fight of the movie? I was like, that's so bogus. I was like, what the heck? But then it turns out it's only in like the first 5-10 minutes of the movie. And I was like, yes. Yeah. But he dies in this battle. It was a great battle with the bell and everything. But he dies and he comes back. And the town doctor / barber / butcher / the town everyman, he was like, you're on your last life, Puss in Boots. And like, I don't know. I just thought this was like a very simple and classic, like easy to follow plot.
Yeah. Classic setup of the conflict of the movie, that he's on his last life and he needs to be careful with it, but he doesn't really take it seriously until he is in the bar getting milk drunk and the wolf comes in. They
always show cats in every form of media drinking milk, cream, whatever out of a saucer. You can't give dairy to a cat. I would love to know. I just got a cat for the first time this last year. Like, who's telling everyone to give cats these milk? Like, that's not something you do.
Is that a thing you can't feed cats?
They're like
dairy?
Lactose intolerant. You don't give them any sort of dairy. It's unbelievable. Because I instantly got a cat and I was like, oh, should we go get some milk for her? And Nikki was like, no, you don't give a cat milk. I was like, whoa. I was like, every cartoon I've ever watched has lied to me? What are you talking about?
Wow. They really set us up to fail.
Yeah, what the heck? Literally, and I Googled it right away. It was like one of the first things I did. I Googled it. And they were like, yeah, no, don't give a cat milk. It's not really good for them. I was like,
maybe it's one of those things where like American products and groceries just have like more additives and aren't as healthy.
I think you nailed it. When I went over to Manchester for the Circle, they even had like, I'm going to sound like a dumb American. I don't want to say different sugar, but like it was not the same type of sugar or it wasn't the same amount in everything. They had just recently, like in the last couple of years, passed like a sugar tax. I know I'm sounding like an idiot to anyone in Great Britain. Write us. Tell me what I'm trying to say here.
Apologies to our UK listeners.
Yeah, dude. So, so like every soda that I drank there, it tasted just a little off. And I was like, what is this? What's going on here? And it was the sugar, I come to find out.
The Coke didn't have cocaine in it. God.
Not at all. No cocaine in the Coke. It made it terrible.
That's interesting to know. I too am lactose intolerant, so I didn't know relate.
This about you.
I guess.
Is that a new thing about you? I've known you a long time.
No, it's not new. I just still eat cheese regardless.
Okay. I was going to say, I've seen you eat a lot of cheese before. Not like specifically, just over our many years of friendship.
It doesn't stop me. It's not lethal by any means.
Not yet.
What were we talking about? Oh, cats drinking milk. Oh, yeah. So
And this is a
where
great scene, though, at the bar, though. I don't want to skip over. Yeah, go ahead, though. Go ahead.
This is where we meet, and this is where I was still a little tentative in the movie. I was like, the first action scene was great, but this one really gripped me because I had seen some other clips of Wolf in the movie, and Wolf comes into the bar, and he challenges Puss to a fight, and he has him on the brink of death, or he has him running for his life. At one point, so they have this bar scuffle. They're, swashbuckling or whatever. And I was surprised Wolf actually drew blood.
Yeah.
I did not know you were allowed to do that. And this is like a PG movie. I swear to God, I thought they were going to zoom out and it was going to be a strawberry or like a bundle of grapes above. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is like something a little different that I wasn't expecting. Like the stakes are a lot more serious here than I had previously thought. So this was definitely an interesting scene for me. What did you think of? It was a pretty abrupt turn because they set up that problem and then they immediately like show Puss in Boots the like.
Yeah, and Puss thinks he is
gravitas of it.
Yeah, it's very serious. Puss thinks he's a bounty hunter, which is not, which is not crazy to think.
He's wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wanted man, dead or alive, and the wolf taps dead, and it's pretty menacing. And so, I have a question for you. How soon, late, whatever? When did you piece together that this wolf was like the Grim Reaper? Was like death? Spoilers.
Not until they said it.
Evan, no.
What?
I questioned it right away. I go, oh, is this like the Grim Reaper? But I felt like there was a scene where someone else and them could see it. So I was like, oh, it must not be. And so I almost like talked myself out of the twist.
Yeah. I forgot there was that bit. Because Perito and Salma
Kitty
Hayek
Softball
don't see him. Yeah, they're not able to see him. Okay,
yeah. And so that was what I was like.
That is after he introduces himself as death, isn't it?
Maybe, but it could just be like a metaphorical, like, you know what I mean? Like, no, it's not till like the end where he surrounds him in the ring of fire that I feel like he reveals like I am. Well, maybe it's actually a little before that. Now that I'm saying this, there was a lot to this movie. It was dense. There was a lot of stuff that happened, which I was really surprised about. You know, sometimes we get on here and we're like, there's like 4 plot points to the movie and then like 6 funny sequences between. But no, there was like a lot that happened in this movie.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't acutely attuned to that element of the story. Maybe I was missing some audio cues because the speakers were out. But this character, I mean, regardless of that twist, and that is like pretty pivotal to the movie, the character is still super interesting. And
oh yeah,
and I think that got me through some of this like second quarter of the movie is where it sort of dips back into like a little bit of lollygagging, and he goes to the kitty shelter. And
you didn't like the kitty shelter?
I didn't love it.
I thought it was so funny when he was pooping, and the one cat was literally just staring right at him as he's pooping.
It was my one thought during that whole section of the movie was like, this is a very fun spin on like the prison break, or like the prison montage. You know?
Yeah,
and that is where we meet Perito. So the pacing felt a little weird for me in this movie.
In the start. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I questioned. You warned me. You said first 10, 15 minutes didn't have you. So maybe that helped me. But I agree. There was a couple times where I was like, where is this going? Because, it's called The Last Wish. We had the whole thing. I do like how it opened. It was like, this is a fairy tale. I was like, oh, nice. Yeah, okay, I'm in it. I'm ready. And so it was like we did the whole thing with the wish, and we're talking about Puss in his last life, and I was like, what? Where does this go?
It takes a detour.
You're right. It's not until the 3 bears and Goldilocks show up that the actual plot of the movie starts going.
So can you set up the Last Wish for us?
Yes, I can. I would love to. At the cat sanctuary, Puss is on his last life. There comes, what do you want to call them? Thieves? Yeah, they're thieving. They make several points. They're thieves. It's Goldilocks and the 3 bears. And one thing I love about Shrek all these years later is they just always do cool and funny spoofs on like great fairy tales. And you know what I mean? all the fairy tales they've really like gone with, they're still like able to do like fun and new takes, which are cool. So we get them, they show up and they're looking for Puss in Boots because they got a job for him. They got a job. I can't do a British accent. That was terrible. So they come to find out, they look at Puss, and it's actually one of my favorite parts of the movie is they're like, could this be him? And they're like, this mangy old scroungy dumb looking cat? No way. And I was like, that's gonna be like a kick in the gut to him.
And he does grow a beard over his
yeah.
stint in the cat rescue. Got a question for you. Mm-hmm. This isn't the first time we've seen the three bears in the Shrek universe.
No. Did they retcon it?
No, I mean, they're in Shrek 1, I'm pretty sure. Like,
Is
in the background,
Goldilocks
getting imprisoned. I don't know about Goldilocks.
Maybe this is a different three bears.
Is this indicative of a Shrek multiverse?
It's the Shrek multiverse, maybe. So one thing, while Puss is recanting all 8 of his lives that he's run through, I really loved that the only mention of Shrek and Donkey was like almost like an Hakuna Matata flash of the 3 of them like walking over a sunset. No other reference to Shrek and Donkey. I really liked that. I thought it was really cool and tasteful. It was like a blip in Puss's life. You know what I mean? His adventures with them. And then we get the occasional, like we see Gingy, we see Pinocchio. So I thought they did a really good job of like calling back without relying on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That sort of hit me in the feels unexpectedly because it created such a distance and like in Puss in Boots narrative, but also in my own life. I was like, man,
You're right.
Watching Shrek 2 was many lives ago. Like,
You're so right.
Probably half my life ago.
I couldn't think of it the way you just said it, but it was such a poignant moment. I had to make sure I mentioned it. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was like, oh, yeah, wow, that was so long ago for him. Oh, that was so long ago for me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yes. And I think that's the real magic of this movie is, yes, it is an absolute pleasure and joy of a film for the family, but it also speaks pretty profoundly to the adult viewers, people who might have grown up on Shrek and are now taking their kids.
I think you're so right.
And I think that's super powerful. Like his anxiety or PTSD and stress around encountering death, pondering what his life has been about and regrets and resentments and all this. And it's all stuff that like, I was like, man, this hits pretty fucking hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's the real magic.
I think you hit the nail on the head it did a good job talking to that adult audience that grew up on Shrek. It was like, honestly, what if Shrek and Donkey grew up, but it wasn't Shrek and Donkey, it was Puss in Boots. Like, it was a really well done continuation of that kind of saga. And another thing, when you were talking about it, it reminds me of Toy Story 4, the 4th one. How it had a very, like, I don't want to say mature theme, but like the themes in it were dealing with like moving on, growing older. Like I thought it really spoke to that audience of people who grew up with Toy Story all those years later. So I think you hit the nail on the head for why this was so heartfelt.
Which I only recently just watched Toy Story 4. So I'm surprised we haven't done a Toy Story.
We got plenty of great stuff.
50, yeah.
We got plenty of great stuff left to cover. We're going 50 more episodes.
That scene and the 3 bears arriving kicks off the rest of the plot, which is everyone is on a quest to get the last wish. And it's almost like a competing heists.
You ever see Rat Race?
I have not.
Oh, you're missing out, my friend. It reminded me of that. They're all chasing after a thing of money. But yeah, they're all, so yeah, it's a lot of people all going for the same last thing. We got little Jack Horter. Is that his name? Yeah, big Jack Horter and the 3 bears. We got Puss in Boots. And then we also, along the way, when we get to Jack Horter's to try to get the map, we run into Kitty Softpaws,
Now, is she a returning character?
Oh no, I was about to ask you that. I loved her. I don't know if she was new to this or if she was in the first one, but so it was so great how they kept showing Puss standing outside the chapel, and like he ran, like Puss in Boots never runs from a challenge, but this challenge he did run from. It was so good. And the reason I know it was so good, you're going to hate me. The reason you know that scene's good is they showed it a couple times, and there was a kid in my theater who kept asking every time that scene came on very loudly to his mom, "What's going on here?" Like, he couldn't understand that Puss didn't show up to the wedding. And I was like, this is too adult of a scene. It's good. This is cinema. I was gatekeeping a little.
Let's take a quick break. This podcast is supported by Lumina. Lumina is an AI-powered webcam that makes you look good on every video call. 4K resolution, adaptive color correction, autofocus and bokeh so you get that nice blur in the background, and of course my favorite feature, the AI cameraman that follows you around the frame to keep you centered at all times. Zhuzh up your video calls and stop looking like dog doo-doo with Lumina. You can use promo code 2dudes for 10% off your purchase at getlumina.com. That's code TWO dudes at getlumina.com. Back to the podcast.
Two dudes watch cartoons.
And we're back to our review of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Just picking up, we have all these people chasing the last wish. My question for you, if you found out like there was just like a wish nearby, you go get that son of a bitch, right?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
What did you make of the shifting maps? What were they supposed to represent to you?
Oh, okay. So for me, the shifting map was like, if you want this wish, like the one wish, which is like the ultimate gift of gifts, you have to like face your subconscious. Like you have to face like your true wants and desires on your way there to like to really nail down what you want this wish to be. Like you have to like go through trials and tribulations. Like I said, I think the wants and desires was a good thing. Like Puss, he would see all that horrible, horrific stuff because like that's what he was going through on the inside. You know what I mean? And then like when Goldilocks got the map at the end, it gave them like the nostalgia like of their home, and they like were gonna fall asleep and never make it to the wish. Spoilers to the end, but like Goldilocks, like, oh, this is what you're wishing for. It's right in front of you. It was really poignant, and so I think the map was designed to try to do that. Because if you think about it, in the end, none of them ended up taking the wish. I think the map accomplished like what it was supposed to do. What were you thinking when you were watching?
I thought of it as like just a sort of inner demons thing, like on a similar path. But like the Perito's map threw me off because his was pretty pleasant.
You just thought he didn't have any inner demons. You were like, oh, it's just a goofy gimmick to get them through.
Sure.
I see.
Yeah.
No, I think it was more so because I think it was designed to try to get them not to take the wish. To like realize like everything you want is right in front of you, which was the case for Puss and Kitty and even Perito. Perito's like, I have everything I need right here. I don't even need a wish. Like, he was the one actually verbalizing it, but that was the point we got to.
Okay. You've convinced me. It
was great storytelling. And little Jack Horner, his whole, the baker's dozen and his whole machine was just like to chop through every obstacle. It wasn't to deal with the obstacles. So he didn't learn like any of the lessons because he got there by like brute force and strength.
I did love little Jack Horner's magic bag of, he's essentially Thanos in this, but he's got the bag of tricks. He has like a magic carpet in this movie. He has,
it's a lot of fairy tale references.
But basically any magical item. He's got Excalibur, which he uses as a club because the stone is still stuck.
Couldn't get it out of the stone, which to me was like so fitting because you have to be like noble and like strong of character. And so when he was like, I have Excalibur, I was like, wow, that's crazy. But he's like, it's still in the stone. I was like, that fits his character. That's good.
I can't remember if it's John Mulaney. No, it was.
Well, it was definitely John Mulaney.
Well,
But so
I was going to say for Spider-Verse 2, which is coming out soon, I don't think I don't know that he's coming back, but
I
the
don't.
announcement I saw was that Nicolas Cage is not returning, and he wasn't asked to, um,
Brutal.
which is a shame. But I also see why they sort of need to keep it fresh. So I'm not necessarily offended by that
Yeah. No,
choice.
I get that. John Mulaney though in this was really he was just funny because like a lot of it was the writing, like, and I'm blanking on it at the end, but in his climactic blow up defeat, he had one of the funniest lines, and I totally was like, you need to remember this and say it on the podcast. And I'm blanking on it. Oh my God, it's gonna drive me nuts. It's like in his final moments, he says something and it is laugh out loud hilarious. You don't remember what it is either though?
I don't. But you know what we can do now? You can rent slash maybe purchase this movie on digital as of
I'm gonna have to for the joke.
January 18th when we're recording this. Um, it'll be a while before this episode is out, but yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for it. He's got some very funny lines, and again, as I said earlier, I love his interactions with the little cricket who's like supposed to be his consciousness, and the whole
Oh
time
yeah.
the whole running gag is the cricket's like, "Oh my God, you're horrible! Like you're
You
a
have no
monster."
regard for human life at all, do you?
He's a very funny character.
We got Pinocchio for the third
Hmm.
time this year in media. Did you take note of that? I was like,
I
wow,
did.
Pinocchio's having a hot year.
And it's the same, he hasn't, unlike the Bears, Pinocchio is Pinocchio that we love and remember from Shrek 1 through
Um, I'm
4.
I'm wearing ladies' underwear. Are you? And they're like, it's a frog. Those movies were kind of like probably not super kid friendly when looking back on them too.
Yeah. And while this is in the Shrek franchise, this doesn't lean on the Shrek style of humor, which was very much pop culture references and a
You're right.
little raunchy, a little more adult forward than this movie is. But this movie still manages to be very funny.
Hmm. I loved Goldilocks, all the puns that they would do of like, this one's too rough, this one's too soft, this one's just right. Like when they were like angry about things or stealing things, or then at the end, like her wish was like, I want things just to be just right. And then how sad was it on the way there? They're like, what's your wish? What is it? Just tell us the wish. It's going to get us fame, fortune, whatever. And she's like, I'm going to wish for a real family. And they're all like,
Ooh,
what you,
yeah.
I gasped too, though, a little. I was like, no, she did not. That was like gut wrenching. Because so Goldilocks is the adoptive child of Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and then the baby bear is her brother. And they even make a point of them being like, hey, that's your sister. Like, be nice to her.
Mm-hmm. And Olivia Coleman is great as the mother. They have they have that little spat, the family, and this is, going into the final climactic scene of the movie. They have that spat, they have that disagreement as a family, and then Olivia Coleman's like, well, if that's your wish, like, we're still a family, we're still gonna get you there. And that stuff just, it's brutal.
It is.
It's heart-wrenching.
It's so good, though. Great writing.
Yeah. And so the point where it picks up for me, they go into this enchanted forest or whatever, and a little bit of it is still the lollygagging.
The map was very Dora the Explorer. So I understand, like, where you're like,
Yeah.
they're like, first you go through the candy cane forest and then the lollipop. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying. It goes in and out of having these really great moments back to, being a kid's movie to entertain children.
Yeah. And all the while, there are these very fun action set pieces. But the moment this movie pivoted for me is when Puss encounters Wolf / Death / the Grim Reaper for the first time in the Enchanted Forest. And he starts running. He just sees a flash of him during one of the fight scenes. It's with Big Jack Horner's dozen bakers gang.
Baker's dozen.
Yeah. And he sees Death, and he runs, and then Perita follows him, and he's like hyperventilating. And then this is where Perita becomes a therapy dog. He rests his chin on Puss in Boots' stomach and like sort of calms down. But you can hear his heart thumping, and like just the way it's constructed, that whole scene is like really powerfully convey like a panic attack.
Oh yeah.
Which for, the demographic this movie is supposed to be for is like insane to think about. But that was really the pivot point for me where I couldn't get enough of this movie after that.
Yeah. I think, like you said, the heartbeats, the way they would do that, it really would sink you into the moment, like what was going on and what he was feeling. And so, like I said, when Perrito became his therapy dog, I could have cried for a year. It was so beautiful. It was so nice because it was all Perrito wanted and Puss needed it and he didn't know. And the best was, well, he introduced himself. So Kitty was like, who is this? And he's like, I'm his therapy dog. And she's like, oh, good. I've been saying you should go to therapy for years. It's like, it's so, I just love it. And it's something we always talk about with Community. I love when characters, and maybe Kitty is a reoccurring character, we didn't know, but I love when characters have familiarity with each other outside of what we've seen on screen.
Mm-hmm. And they inform you of all that backstory with like little throwaway lines here and there.
Yeah.
And so they obviously have that romance.
I wasn't ready for it. I didn't know they were going to romance. Did you? It wasn't until they were like staring. I think they like touched paws. Maybe it was when she was shaving him. I caught on way too late. Did you know that they were going to romance?
Yeah. She's introduced like as the old flame. They have their first the first time they meet in this movie, they have like a little meet cute that's very similar to the Batman when he meets Catwoman for the first time. They're like sparring and also doing a heist together, but like against each other and stealing from each other.
Yeah,
and end up working
it's
together.
Maybe I just didn't realize she was about to be a main character, I guess. So like, you know what I mean? That just maybe threw me off because I also didn't realize it was Salma Hayek right away. But, I love her. She was one of my favorite characters. And I just loved all the cat names. Like Puss's name after he was dead was Pickles. Like her name is Kitty Softpaws. It's like such actual cat names. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. A lot of the reviews that I had seen, and maybe I'm doing a disservice to the first quarter of this movie, but a lot of the movies that I have seen or reviews have compared this movie to Logan, the X-Men entry, which was like about a veteran Wolverine who's like beyond past his prime. This is very much that for the Shrek franchise. I don't know, the way they deal with this like existential crisis of like aging, getting closer to death is incredible. And, some of that is sort of joked over in the beginning with calling him Pickles and like him having to let go of his pride a little bit. So
Yeah.
This movie does a beautiful job of handling all that.
I agree. It is, like we said, for an aging audience, it touches on a lot of things that are probably very prevalent and near and dear to their lives. So I think it handled those things beautifully. But so, not to gloss over everything, but once they do get through like the map, they get to a giant star. And so they say it was like a fallen star that crashed on Earth. And I just thought it was so funny. It was in the shape of a star. Like I thought we were rolling up on a meteor. I thought for sure they were going to be rolling up on a meteor. And it was just like a giant star print on the ground. I was like, ooh, how Mario Party of them.
Pretty straightforward on that one. Yeah. But I mean, this is where they had like Puss has to betray his little gang. And that in itself, I hate those moments. I don't hate those moments. They hit hard. It's like in Shrek 1 when Shrek comes back to Fiona and Donkey and like mishears the conversation and thinks Fiona wants nothing to do with Shrek, so he goes off and runs away. Like those little missed moments of like, oh, if only Puss could tell Kitty Softpaws and Perrito. And like you're just like, no, just say it. Just
Evan
have that realization right now.
Evan hates when the main conflict is miscommunication.
I don't hate it, but it speaks very loudly to me.
You only asked me out on a dare. You're like, yeah, but if you had listened to the second half of what I said.
Yeah.
So, I totally get that. But this On the Star is like the action sequence. Like you talk about it feeling like an anime fight. This was it. Like all guns out, total. And like the star, when it was like activating, like I think you died if you left it, like, was
What was
happened
happening there? They got
like there was definitely a
incinerated?
death, right? Like this movie was grim, and the Grim Reaper shows up. Literally, the Grim Reaper shows up in the middle of their big bad fight. And what was really nice is Puss the whole movie has a stick for his sword, and so it was very symbolic when he gets his sword back, or he's got the little gatito dagger for a good while. But it's symbolic when he gets his sword back and he finally takes on death. And he's got the most badass moment. I know I'm skipping around a little, but so he fucking they're battling, and he beats death. He bests death, and death is on, and he fucking kicks his little sickle over to him, and he says, "No, not yet. We're not done," or whatever. Oh my God, how badass is that? You beat death, and then you say, "No, this fight's not over. Pick up your shit." That
Top
was
10
better
anime
than,
fights of 2022.
better than anything I've ever seen in The Walking Dead. I don't know why I just decided to shade them, but like it was so badass.
This movie has incredible fight scenes. The wolf fucking pulls out his sickles, dual wield these sickles,
wielding like crescent moon sickles. They're sick.
Yeah.
And then he even has a little X with a little cat's life for every time that Puss has died. It was just
I
taunting
didn't notice
death.
that detail.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. Oh, it's so good.
But he flicks his sickles on the star, and it creates this fire circle. Yeah. Visually, this fight scene, all of the fight scenes in this are stunning. There are a lot of things to love. I don't think action scenes are necessarily the thing that people are praising this movie for, but I don't think it should go. Yeah, it shouldn't go uncelebrated, because you very much could. I love how this is resolved, though. Death is bested by Puss in Boots, and there is sort of this lesson or this moral realization. Death, it's not a standstill. Death is very much defeated, but Puss in Boots doesn't murder death. I don't know how you do that. Death is he's like, God damn it, he doesn't say that, but he's like, damn it, I came here to collect. Yeah, you took the fun out of it. I was here to collect the life of someone who was ungrateful, has not treated life or death seriously up until this point. You're not that person anymore.
You're not that person. The dialogue, dude, I'm telling you, it's like a Western movie. It was so good. It was really, really good. Yeah, goosebumps leaving, like you said, that moment right there. He's like, "You're not that same," and he walks away, and he's like, "We'll meet again someday, right?" And he's like, "Yes." Oh, it's so good. It's so good, man. And then
it is
that's when
very much like a Western.
He doesn't even take his wish to get 9 more lives, and Kitty was gonna wish to have someone she could finally trust, and at the end, he was like, "One life with you is all I need."
That's smooth. That is smooth.
Smooth, dude.
Yeah.
The dialogue was so good in this, from start to finish. Really, really strong point of the movie.
I almost wish it had sort of ended there. I see why it needs the big Jack Horner resolution after that. Because after that, Jack Horner, I think, does he make a wish?
Oh, he was about to. He got big. He exploded somehow. You know what? Yeah, that was
something funny we can't remember.
It was so funny though, Evan. I'm not kidding. It was literally. I go it wasn't like a or it was a I let out a noise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm so mad I can't think of it. But so yeah, I mean, just start to finish, this movie was great. I don't even remember the resolution or the wrap up. This was just so touching. What, did they get married? Is that what happened? How did this end?
Do they get married? I don't know. They keep adventuring together. Yeah, they don't need to put a label on it. The Bears crime gang is together and familial. I think they're all friends at the end.
Yeah.
But there is that little stinger before the credits roll. Perito, Kitty Softpaws, and Puss set sail on a ship. They leave wherever they were. And what do you see in the distance but the kingdom of far, far away? Now, I haven't seen 3 or 4. I don't know where Shrek and crew left off.
I think that's where they live.
Oh,
did you think? Oh, are you thinking this implies sequels?
Yeah, why would they end on that?
It's called The Last Wish.
He says, we're on our way to see old friends.
I just
You would
assumed
not
it was like a cute send-off. I didn't think it meant sequel. Oh, this is interesting. No, I really didn't take it as sequel. I really assumed also partly calling it Logan, like maybe that set it in my mind, but I think also calling it The Last Wish, I assumed they were going to be honest and truthful and faithful to that, and it was going to be the last one.
They wouldn't end the Shrek franchise on a on a spin-off movie.
Oh, like,
And also,
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of what I thought was
Hugh
so
Jackman
baller
is
about
back
it.
as Wolverine anyways. So your point is moot.
The point doesn't even stand anymore. I don't know. I kind of thought it was cool. I thought it was like an edgy, cool kind of send off. I don't know.
I think it was
like
meant
I
to be a
don't
stinger.
need Shrek and Fiona's babies. They're so bad, Evan.
Oh, that's
They're-
where we're at in 4. There's babies.
Oh, I think there's babies in 3.
Okay.
And
Well,
let me tell you, they're annoying. They're like as cartoony as you can get.
what if it's they get to far, far away and it's like the end of She-Hulk where Shrek steps to the side. This is my son.
And he's huge. I would like that. Okay, that'd be funny. Okay.
And
Yeah,
they've gotta
no,
be
it was I just thought it was a cute little send off. Like, oh, they're gonna go see Shrek and Fiona. And don't.
I think they're leaving the door very open for a sequel. That's my read
Well,
on
I
it.
see it now that you say it, but I'll be honest, it didn't cross my mind.
They also have the new DreamWorks title, sequence.
How did you like that? Their Marvel style entrance.
Yeah, and it shows Shrek is central to it. Shrek
Well,
and
he's-
Fiona are there.
He is DreamWorks. Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
I don't think they would rub that reminder in people's
might.
face
not a
as a-
rub. It's
as
like
a new
hey,
thing in 2022.
you
though.
love Shrek. You love Shrek. You trust us. You love I don't know. To me, it was like, look, Puss in Boots is not Shrek, but you're gonna see it because you like Shrek. But like, hey, we make great stuff. Don't forget.
And they do. I'm just saying. I think the likelihood that there will be a Shrek sequel
Don't forget
is
us.
greater than the likelihood that that was supposed to be a cute send off.
You want to make a bet? I'll bet there's never another Shrek movie, another new Shrek movie. I'm willing to bet this. What do you want to put on it? Does a donkey movie count? Does a Puss in Boots movie count? Like, are we going Shrek cinematic
I
universe,
say
or you mean
Shrek-
Shrek titled?
Shrek flagship movie.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, no more Shrek title. We're not getting Shrek 5 if that's like what we're hinting at. What
But
do
what's
you want to
the
bet?
ti- what's
We've
the
never done
time
this.
frame here?
I'm going ever. I in perpetuity.
Ever.
Yeah, I'm willing to like stake it on time.
Wow. Okay. What?
I'm thinking like a fancy meal, just because I know
Okay.
you. I know something you'd
Sure.
like.
That's yeah.
We'll
I'm down
we'll
with
do some
that.
sort of steak dinner if I guess then we do need to put a time limit on for me if let's go what year is it now? 2023? Let's go 2030. How does that feel?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm willing. I was willing to go forever. I'll go till 2030.
There'll be
2030.
There'll be something announced at least by then.
Evan's like, I don't know when it'll be out, but they will have announced Shrek
They
5.
will have
I'm
announced
positive.
something by then.
And I'm not counting a reboot. I don't know that that's in the works, but if they
don't
were
think
ever
they
to
would
like
reboot
reboot
it.
Shrek, if that makes sense. Hey, they're talking about rebooting Harry Potter. Like that seems fucking weird.
Why?
I know. I don't understand that. So okay, yeah. 2023 handshake, a good nice steak dinner. 2030, not 2023.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
think
I'll
we'll.
take that.
We may get Puss. I think we're likely to get Puss in Boots the last wish before we get Shrek 5.
No, I see. I think this is DreamWorks. This is.
You think this is their segue back into
This
it?
is their Man of Steel. No, this is their Batman vs Superman, and they want it to launch into Shrek
Bring it all
Avengers.
together. Yeah, Shrek Ventures. And I'm not talking Disney Plus. Not that it would be Disney Plus, but like a Netflix. I'm talking
Yeah,
in theaters.
theaters. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make that bet.
Yeah, they do some kids movie shit every now and again. You know what I mean? And you'll see it on Netflix, and you'll be like, "What? They didn't even market this."
Yeah.
And so, okay, yeah, this feels good. But hey, well, back to the actual movie on hand. Whole thing, start to finish. I know Evan said there was some lulls. I think it was just such a joy from start to finish. I laughed, I cried, like every emotion in between.
I guess for my final thoughts, like, I think I was maybe a little bit a victim of my own expectations. I had started reading reviews and seeing all the hype around this movie, and it is that good. But I think part of the delight and the surprise that people are raving about is just like sort of rediscovering this world and this character and like revisiting the nostalgia of the Shrek franchise and like going into a movie maybe not expecting much, but like, oh hey, there's a new Shrek movie or Shrek franchise movie,
And getting a whole
and
lot out of
getting
it, though.
blown away. So if you haven't seen it, I would hope you haven't. I mean, I hope you do listen to this podcast, but also go watch the movie.
Go watch it. It's really worth it. And I mean,
yeah.
while we may have spoiled things, it's still you'll feel what we're feeling.
There's
I promise.
there's so much. Mostly we talked about a couple cool fight scenes and some poignant moments, but
I
like
literally went ching, 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 like pretending my hands were swords. So you need to go to our YouTube channel to check that out.
I love the moment where Puss in Boots and Kitty Softpaws are like dancing. What is that dancing style called? But they're like doing it to jump.
Oh,
infinite.
That was
into the
so
air.
outrageous. The infinite jump into the air, like
so
off the tango dancing.
Yeah.
They were like, "Should we do it?" And they're like, "Yeah." They just literally fly all the way up, like faster than everyone else too.
Yeah, that felt like a classic Shrek visual gag to me. Just
Yeah.
so outlandish, so funny. Let's
do
read
it.
some Letterboxd reviews and then maybe
Start
give
us
our
off
own.
here because I'm not ready.
Okay, this one is apropos. 10 out of 10. 5 stars. Puss in Boots and Kitty Softpaws worked together to do an infinite jump glitch at one point. 4 stars. Wasn't expecting 2022 to have a Pinocchio and Puss in Boots film, which both dealt with mortality, the inevitability of death, and the fleeting nature of our lives and those we care about. But I'm glad we got them, I guess. And I'll say it. I liked this movie more than I did Pinocchio. That might be controversial.
Wow. I mean, enjoyment wise is, as our good friend Michael O'Rear says, art is subjective. So I'm not going to bash you on that. But I thought Pinocchio was like close to masterpiece. But so we talked about this. Imagine if Guillermo del Toro did Puss in Boots in fucking stop motion.
Stop motion?
Could you imagine? That'd be
it
wild.
would be pretty great, yeah.
You know what? As I'm just reviewing Letterboxd things right now, this says 4.5 stars. Shrek 5 is about to go so hard. So you were not alone, my friend. There's more people out there feeling like you did.
It's gotta be in the cards, man.
Yeah, well, you're getting a stake out of that my ignorance, I guess. So this one says 5 stars. Yeah, still cried the second time. I think that's powerful.
4.5 stars. Someone says fuck Nugget in this movie, which that caught me off guard. It's like Perito. Is he rattling off insults that have been hurled at him in his lifetime or something?
Yeah, I forgot. And they would literally beep out words. And I'm not going to lie, there was a couple parents in my theater that lost it when they would start bleeping out words. I think because their kids were shocked. It was they did it a couple times.
That really caught me off guard. It made me laugh. So in that way is reminiscent of like a Shrek 1 or 2.
Yeah.
A lot of people have called this the best Shrek movie since Shrek 2, which I know, they dipped in quality, but like Shrek 2 is a high bar. Shrek 1 is
well, I think this is definitely the best since Shrek 2, no doubt. This one just says, okay, wow, you guys weren't kidding. And I think that's like a good way to put it, like for anyone like on the fence about going and seeing this. Is just like, we're not joking. We're not kidding. Like it's like Nikki left and she was stunned. And for her, like an animated movie can go one of two ways. And she was just like floored by how awesome it was.
Cinema's back, baby.
Cinema's back. There's so many and they're all good. They're just all good. And I'm having trouble picking them out because they're actually like not that many funny ones. They're all just like really glowing and great reviews.
Yeah. That being said,
Some inappropriate ones.
What would you rate this movie on a scale of 5 stars on Letterboxd?
I'm giving this movie 4 stars. it's close to just like damn near great. Like I would probably give Shrek 4, or excuse me, yeah, probably not Shrek 4. I'd probably give Shrek 2 4 stars, and I think this was on par. I really do. Like enjoyment level wise, I think this was like really, really, really solid. So yeah, I'm gonna give it 4.
I'm gonna go. I'm surprised because you've been doling out those 5s.
Were you? Yeah.
I will go 4.5.
Oh, okay.
I'll
I
go
thought you were
4.5.
giving your first 5. I was
Have
like,
I
do
given a
it.
5 yet?
I don't think
I
so.
don't know if I have.
Not on the pod, at least.
I'm a little stingy with my stars.
You're the stingy one. Yeah, so I'm glad you passed me, though. No, I think that's apropos. Did I use that right? You looked at me like I didn't use that word right.
No, yeah. Yeah. I could recommend this movie to anyone. I will rave about this movie to anyone. It's not perfect. There are some parts that, sort of lull for me, but it is a perfect viewing experience. It is like a memorable viewing experience. Absolutely. So yeah, 4.5.
I totally agree.
It's pretty solid. Yeah.
You convinced me. I'm going 4.5. I'm changing it on the spot.
Giving it a 5.
Yeah, Evan's like, I'm up now. No, I'll stick with 4. I'll stick with 4. I'm not gonna be changing things.
That's all good. You got any news?
I got some news for you. Let me pull up the news here. A lot's been going on. I feel like there's a lot of news. We covered some of the Puss in Boots news. I don't even know I have a news story. Let's just maybe just talk about this in general.
Okay.
What have you been seeing about Velma, the new HBO Scooby-Doo show?
It has been getting absolutely trashed by everyone.
Not just trolls, it seems like. It
yes,
is being
not just
destroyed by like
trolls.
everyone.
And you know what? I'm normally a hater. I think in this case, some of it is a little excessive.
Tell me why.
Is the show bad? Yes. Is it as bad as everyone is making it out to be? I don't think so. I don't think it's any worse or any more unfunny than any of the hordes of adult animation shows that have popped up since Rick and Morty.
That's kind of how I feel. It felt like a lot of the same noise.
It's a lot of the same noise. I think it's particularly pronounced because of the demographics of the cast in this iteration of Scooby-Doo, the changes to canon or whatever. I watched the first 2 episodes when they came out. It was fine. The humor is very much... What?
Do you know what it has as an audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now?
Probably like 6% or something.
You nailed it. You got it right on the nose. Audience score of 6%. But the critics rating, it's at 52. So yeah, the clips I've seen, I'll be honest, not very good. Like I said, it seems like a lot of the same old adult animation type of stuff that we've seen, like you said, post Rick and Morty. So I don't know. The one clip I saw was like pretty bad though. It was so out there. I was like, this can't be funny even in context. Like you know what I mean? I was like, what is going on?
You know,
so
it's not. I think this is just, it's the flaw in adult animation right now. Everyone wants to be Rick and Morty, and I will specifically attribute some of this to like Rick and Morty style writing, Dan Harmon style writing. They do this thing a lot in this show where they just very plainly state the emotional thought or state of the character.
Yeah.
To be like not meta, but like Rick and Morty has done it in the past with much more finesse.
Like tongue in cheek.
Yeah, like Velma and Daphne are estranged friends in this. Like they have a history and they're not really talking anymore. And then Velma will be like, "Are my perceptions of you changing because we're hanging out more often and I don't think you're a huge bitch?" Or like random like
just very, stating like flat out.
Yeah.
Not trusting the audience is what I call that.
Yeah, and maybe it's because Rick and Morty has done it so much. It's just like it's so apparent. It feels like a Mad Lib at this point. So, do I recommend it? Check it out. See what everyone's talking about. some of they're setting up like a season-long mystery. I think like a murder mystery, and it's different. I don't know, but it's no better or worse than any of the other, adult animation garbage that has come out in recent years.
That's why
I think that's
the good stuff.
I think that's why it's the backlash is particularly pronounced for this, is because it's like it's getting ragged for being too woke, but it's also getting ragged for being too being tone deaf, and so
it's
both,
getting it from both sides.
Yeah, I don't know if we had talked about this at all, but speaking of Rick and Morty, Justin Roiland has been accused and charged. I should probably look up the specific charges.
I was going to say, we're diving into a story I know nothing about. Justin Roiland was, being accused of some not great stuff. Allegedly.
Domestic violence charges. And I think generally just being kind of a creep, which...
There can't be charges for just generally being a creep. But I will say... a lot of the things I saw on Twitter about it were like, oh, if only there was some sort of hint in his writing that something like this could happen. And I was like, oh, that seems very pointed and shot. And so, while I don't keep up with Rick and Morty too much nowadays, I don't remember too many. I guess they were like, the women aren't written well on the show, and maybe Beth is a good indication of something.
So he's been charged with felony domestic violence in Orange County. And this was one thing he had sent me... Or we had talked about Dan Harmon has a new show coming out, Crepopolis, and Justin Roiland has had his own series, Solar Opposites, and some other projects springing up of his own. I wonder if it was like a conscious uncoupling on their parts. But I remember someone showed me something a couple years back. It was like stuff that Justin Roiland himself had animated before Rick and Morty. One was like Bill Cosby, like clones all talking, or like he had like a whole YouTube.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Do you remember
Gary
that?
showed us this. Yeah. I don't remember the name, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm embarrassed to admit we watched a little bit of it at your bachelor party. So I know exactly.
I feel like that probably is maybe an indication of like
the indication. Yeah. Weird show. I totally forgot it. I think it's called House of Cosby. Now that it's just coming back to me, I'm 90% sure that's the name of it. Wild memory you just unlocked. But I don't know I have too much more important or pressing news here that I'm looking. The Velma one. I've said a lot of things about Velma because some of the clips I'm seeing are just like outrageous, and not in like a fun way.
The Last of Us just debuted on HBO. It's HBO's second biggest premiere since 2010. 4.7 million viewers, trailing about by half The House of Dragon earlier or a couple months ago. Did you have a chance to catch it?
Yeah, premiere was great. I caught it late, so I didn't contribute to the numbers. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, so good. And I only have a little knowledge of the video games. I've never played any of them. I think I've heard a little bit about it, but nothing that is going to spoil anything for me. So I am so excited to see where it goes. Episode 1 was really strong.
And Mandalorian comes back soon in March, I think. So
Pedro's
just Pedro Pascal protecting kids.
Yeah, it's literally. Oh my god! Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I wonder. So you know how Mandalorian, for the most part, I'm pretty sure they filmed that show like with a stunt double in the actual suit, and he just voices
it's barely
up.
him.
I wonder if like while he's voicing it, he's doing this series live action.
He's like,
hold sorry, on, I can't be on set today, guys.
Yeah. That's so funny. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, because he doesn't have to do much for Disney Plus. If he's ever got to take off his helmet, which is rare because that's, this is not the way to take off your helmet. And his voice. And ready for this? He's a man of little words. He doesn't even say a whole lot. So he's barely in the show, but he's the main character.
Yeah. We're in the midst of awards season right now. Yeah. Everything Everywhere All at Once is cleaning up. I think Pinocchio is cleaning up.
Doing amazing.
And this is unrelated to that. Brendan Fraser himself in The Whale is getting hella acting awards. Michelle Yeoh, Ki Kwan. this aside from that, though, you'd sent me this, and I don't know why you missed it because you marked it news. James Cameron says audiences will meet 2 new cultures in Avatar 3, including the fire-based ash people.
We are literally copying Avatar.
And then
Unbelievable.
the Fire Nation attacked, because he has said he wants in future movies for them to meet bad Na'vi people.
Which are the Fire Nation when they attack. It's so... And you can't say, oh, well, I had the idea before. You just can't. I'm sorry. Because it's been so long. Like, if it was a year or two, if it was like 3 or 4, we'd be like, okay, that makes sense. These take a while. It's been so long, dude. You can't. You can't say, no. This has been the plan the whole time. You just can't. I'm sorry.
Because it's episode 50, we got a lot of backlash. We caught a lot of flack for our takes on Avatar.
The internet didn't like it. The internet
didn't
said,
like it,
keep
but-
that one to yourself.
Yeah. You know what? I'm glad we spoke up because
I am too.
you got interviewed with the New York Times. That was fucking weird.
The New York Times interviewed me on my trip to go see Avatar because I went to the bathroom 3 times.
Yeah, but I just wanted to address like some of the pushback that we got. Like at the end of the day, it's an okay movie. I just find it a weird movie to stand so much because it's like
To ride
the white
for.
white savior movie and a white savior.
The longer we've been getting
franchise.
away from the movie, the more I've been seeing about the whole white savior of it. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. I cannot believe we're literally gonna go air, wind, water, fire, whatever. Like it's absolutely mind-boggling that he would have the audacity to do that. If I'm being honest, you would just think creatively and professionally, you would want to avoid that, like at all costs. I feel like,
Mhm.
but he's like leaning into it. It drives me. I have thought.
At the time of recording, it's at 1.9 million at the box office. So
That's what I'm gonna
has
say.
not
It's about to make money. It's
crossed
so
the-
close.
almost has made money at this point.
It's close. It's gonna make its first dollar any day now. What? I'm being sincere.
I wish it the best. I wish you well on your journey, weary traveler.
It's like Mr. Krabs' first dollar. They're gonna hang it on the wall. James Cameron's Avatar: Way of Water. First dollar. It's coming.
They announced the Zuko movie. Did we talk about this, or were we going to talk about this in the next episode?
I think we're gonna talk about this in the next episode.
All right, then I think that's all the news that
I think
we've
that's all we got for you. That was a lot of news. We covered a lot.
It's a lot
Don't
of
feel
news.
like we. Yeah.
Any final ruminations on episode 50? Wait, what are your wishes for the future of Two Dudes Watch Cartoons? Resolutions.
That's a good question. I just, I love coming across new things. So, that's another thing. If our audience, if you could help us find things that we should be covering and talking about, maybe we haven't heard of it. Please let us know. We really love it. So I want to, discover more beautiful animated properties that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. And want to talk about them with you, my best buddy. So those are my hopes and goals. They're very vague. It's not a smart goal by any means. But what about you? What are you hoping for the next 50 episodes?
Shrek 3 and 4. Paddington 2.
You came with a list.
I would love to keep meeting people on the pod. We've had some great guests on who we didn't necessarily know before. My one pipe dream guest is Jamal Williams, the Detroit Lions
I know.
player who
We've been tagging him every day. We love him.
Loves anime. He would be a dream to get on the podcast. That's a long shot. I don't think it will ever
It's
happen.
happening. Don't worry. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll get there. By episode 100, hopefully we'll have enough clout to reach out.
That's right. That's where we're heading.
I don't know. Just, and more of this, more watching stuff and talking about it. And this podcast is really fun. It's fun to make. It's a passion. It's a passion project. It's a labor of love. It's a lot of work we put into this, but hopefully you guys reap the rewards of it and enjoy it. And it has been immensely personally rewarding for us to talk about cartoons with each other, with you guys. So thank you for tuning in. I think that'll do it for this episode of the podcast. Do you want to sign us off?
Yeah, I'll sign us out here. If you like what you hear, we have 49 other episodes. Actually, we got more than that because we got bonus
49
episodes
plus,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, 49 plus more episodes that you can go check out on Apple, Spotify, wherever you catch your podcasts at. And we are really trying to get our YouTube up. So if you listen to us on any of these platforms, please just drop by our YouTube. Just search Two Dudes Watch Cartoons. Hit subscribe. Yeah, even if you don't watch, we're trying to get that up here. We've got a lot of good traction going on YouTube. So we appreciate that greatly. If you want to follow us on social media, we are at Two Dudes Watch Cartoons on both Instagram and TikTok. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rate and review. And once again, just thanks again for joining us on this crazy ride here.
That'll do it for us. We'll catch you on episode 51.
Which is in 2 weeks.
Didn't set it to live.
Cartoons.
I'm fucking this.
Two dudes watch cartoons.